Welcome back to our Super Hoops Walk. It's a jam-packed episode here, reviewing, of course, the game against Leicester. We've got Joad, Michael, and Jake and Rowan with us as guests this week. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's have a look at what we're talking about this week. First off, did Marti disrespect the Cup? Were too many changes made, especially with how many fans make the away trip? We're asking you for your December Player of the Month. We've given AI all QPR's home fixtures, and we're going to churn out the points totals they're going to get. And because January is such a rubbish month, we are coming up with the worst QPR 11 from the Championship era, starting with goalkeepers. So help us out with that. Thank you very much for joining us. Drop us a subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Let's get straight into the chat, shall we? Jake, let's welcome you to the show. First of all, we'll start with you, if that's all right. We're talking about the Leicester result, if that's all right. Did Marti disrespect the Cup a bit too much for you?
I don't think so. I think he struck a good balance between sort of rotation and like the solid core of the team, midfield especially. I thought Madsen and Ashby in particular had poor games. I could barely even see through the fog, but I forgot Madsen was even on the pitch at half an hour mark. So yeah, but I think Marti sort of struck the right balance, got some rotation in the squad. So I wasn't too displeased with the lineup.
Yeah, there's some fans saying they missed 2 of the Leicester goals, but that's not going to go to the toilets within the fog. This was also said, Rowan, if I can get your views on this one. 53 North says, sometimes you think it's naivety on Marti. Why play that defence against a quality Championship lineup of Leicester? I expected them not to start their Premier starting 11, but what a gulf between our squad players and the back plus Madsden. John says, I'm a big fan of Marti, but changing half your side is a little disrespectful to the competition and the 1,000 fans that travelled. Hopefully something to be reflected on for future cup matches. Rowan, where do you stand on this debate? Should he have done more, given that 4,500 fans made the effort to turn up on a cold Saturday?
To be fair, I think like the team and the players that come into the side are lads that have been injured and need the minutes. And I think like Clark Salter, you'd say at full fitness is our best centre half. So I think, if he's fit, then he's got to play. Edwards, from what I've seen of him in past videos, he looks good. And I think them two as a pair could be something to come. And I think him coming in is probably a sign that I think Dunn's going to go to right back, because obviously in the past month, Ashby ain't been at it, and I don't think he's at it for the level. So I can see that maybe this is like signs for what's to come. Midfield wise, I think it was actually a decent midfield with Field and Varane in there, but Madsen's just non-existent. So overall, I think the side weren't too bad. I think what let us down was probably playing Coley up top. It's quite isolated. We could have done with a target man, really, because there weren't really an out ball. We needed a target man up there for an out ball, and that's not his game, do you know what I mean? So
yeah, okay, well explained. Thank you, Rowan. Joad, you were there with your family, as you said last week. Do you wish you hadn't have bothered?
Yeah, for lots of reasons. I think the manager comes out in the week saying there needs to be a mentality shift at QPR when it comes to games like this, and the kind of negativity when we play a team on a bad run. And then I get making changes, but when you take out probably the 5 players that for the last month have pulled us through quite a tough spell with Nardi, Dunn, Smith, Morgan, Michael Frey played well against Luton, and it is the only one that can hold up the ball. I think make changes, but taking out the core of the team, whose mentality has kind of got us out of the bad spell that we were in, was a little bit naive. I think. I don't think when you saw that starting 11, anybody thought we'd keep a clean sheet. I don't think anybody thought there'd be enough goals in there. And like Jake and Rowan said, to keep starting Madsen, to even think he's going to do anything suddenly in a game against a decent side. Again, despite the fog, he was a ghost. Honestly, he did absolutely nothing, and he kept him on for 90 minutes, I think. So you're basically playing with 10 men, and stood absolutely no chance. I don't understand how a midfielder can get on the ball as little as he did and not make a tackle in 90 minutes, not even attempt to tackle in 90 minutes. That is, and that's not the first time this season either.
Okay.
I do think as well with Joe Walsh. I don't want to throw him under the bus, but I don't think we would have conceded 6 if Nardi had played. I think he looked out of position a lot of the times. He didn't look comfortable when he went out to retrieve the ball. And I think Nardi just installs that confidence in the defence to make them play how we've been playing the last few weeks. But I think, that's another thing. I think Joe Walsh just wasn't up to it either.
I think Rowan touched on this tweet by someone, which basically said one positive the game from Andy at the bottom here was that it's good minutes for Jake Clark-Salter, who is a hugely influential player in our style. Also, better we make mistakes and blood and new centre-back pairing in the cup versus the league. Learn and move on, lads. Is that all you can probably take from the game, Michael? Jake Clark-Salter getting minutes in. Any other positives?
No, that's the only positive. I think as well with Collie, I think it does his confidence good. I know his assist was literally just a bit of a freak shot by Varane, but he scored a goal as well, and I think that will just give him more confidence and keep the competitiveness alive with him and Frey. But apart from that, there wasn't any positives to take from the game.
Okay. Well, we said there's 3 assurances, didn't we, in life? Death, taxes, and QPR exiting the stage at the 3rd round stage. There it is, another year, Jared. Maybe next year, yeah?
I think I'm going to give up on cup games. I think that's me done. I can't face anymore.
All right.
And we would have got Manchester United away, I think, in the draw, wouldn't we, as well?
What a shame.
So,
yeah, what a shame. All right, then let's chat about Plymouth, shall we? Then, because we're back to league action this week, Jake. Now it's just like QPR's luck, isn't it? Just before you play them, they've sacked their manager, appointed someone else, and just got their first away win. And here you are, trotting up to Home Park this weekend. Do you remember the reverse fixture in August? How all the drama of that?
Was that at Plymouth last season? It was 1-1, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, wasn't it? And
I
the game this season.
Oh yeah, 1-1 earlier this season. They had 9 men at the end of the game. That was tough because you create so many chances, but just can't put it in the back of the net.
Absolutely.
And and last season as well, when we played them at Plymouth, their home form is quite good. And I just remember the Begovic blunder. He's completely flapping it across and just lets it run. I think it hit a Doma, goes straight into the bottom corner. It's just infuriating to watch. So that could lead into the next question.
The new manager will be in place, Rowan, for this weekend's game. I've lost my. There it is. Oh God, I pressed the wrong button there. Right, having a look then, Rowan, at that QPR side that started the game at in August. It was, which feels a lifetime ago. It must do just for me. It must be for you guys, given the run that you've now been on. What's the obvious differences between that side that started against Plymouth there and the side that we'll likely see on Saturday?
We'll have 2 proper holding midfielders. We'll have Varane in there. I think, to be fair, in games, Dembele looked bright at the beginning of the season. But obviously, he's injured. So I'd say in that 3, I think obviously Frey's going to start, Smith, Chair out wide. And I'm trying to think. It's gone from my head now.
Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan. Yeah, sorry, Morgan in the 10. So I think with that midfield, it's a lot more positive. Again, not sure really what's he going to go back 4 wise, because I don't know how many more opportunities he can keep giving Ashby. So that'll be interesting to see what happens if Edwards comes in and Dunn goes back to right back.
Yeah. Okay. Cheers for that, Rowan. Marti, anything that you would would add to that? Has Rowan covered most of it?
I think he will move Dunn to fall back again. I think Ashby, the mistakes that he made yesterday have been coming. Every single game, he seems to give the ball away in a really, really dangerous area. I think in his head, he thinks he's better than he is. And I think if he's not listening to the coaching team, if he's not listening to the players around him, then it's not a risk that we can take in our situation. I think one big thing next week is going to be the travel that the players have to do, travelling to Plymouth for a 12:30 kickoff, and then back again, and then up to Hull. You probably couldn't have two worse fixtures over a 5-day period. So I think that we normally get affected in a 3-game week. So I would have thought there'll be rotation in one of the games maybe. But I think we're almost getting to the stage now with Cook out, with Morrison out, that the team picks itself pretty much every week. That midfield three of Varane, Field and Morgan won't change much now, I don't think.
Okay. Right. Thanks for that, both of you. Before we move on and look at the other items on our show, let's jump back to December if we can, because we didn't select our December Player of the Month. I can't recall if the club have or haven't, but we'll ignore that for a second. Michael, can you look back at December for us and pick out the player that you think deserves some more flowers?
You can't say Nardi this month.
Yeah, I think
every month we've said Nardi. Yeah. Every month you've had Nardi.
I think the most dangerous side of the pitch has been the right-hand side. I think Jimmy Dunn has been one of our best players this month. He's been popping up with crucial goals. He's been showing fight, and I feel like when he's in the defence, we're a lot more organised. So it's either him or Smith. I think he's coming into his own. He's drawing fouls. He's getting assists. He's scoring goals. And I think he's just growing game by game. But I think yes, one of them two. I'll go for Dunn.
Okay, Jared.
Yeah, I think it's between those two. I think Morgan against Luton was outstanding, but that was obviously January. So I think I would just go for Paul Smith. I think the output that we've seen in terms of assists and goals has been much improved, and I think he's maybe reached a level that quite a few fans didn't think he could reach. So he's proved a few people wrong, I think. We're a much more dangerous team when he's on form.
Cheers, Rowan.
Obviously, this is my first one of these, so I don't know what's been said in the past, but I'd say probably either Nardi or Dunn. I think both of them have kept us in games and been leaders for us. I don't think we would have picked up the points that we have without them, really.
Yeah, smashing. Jake, sorry you're last on this one, but you can pick another one that's already been said.
I would have said Dunn or possibly Morgan. So I think Morgan's added that sort of differential to the midfield that we were kind of lacking. He can really help progress the ball, which Field can lack in that department. Varane doesn't really progress too much. He prioritizes keeping the ball rather than trying to move it up the pitch. So I'll say Morgan.
Okay. All right. Brill. Right. Thank you very much. And lastly, penultimately, before we finish this week, we've asked AI to look at QPR's home fixtures and predict what's going to happen in terms of points. This is how it turned out. First of all, in terms of your home fixtures, Jake, you've got a run there in the middle of Sheffield United and Leeds and Burnley at the end. So in terms of on paper, your away fixtures are a lot easier than your home fixtures are in this run. Do you worry about looking on this on paper that you've got some real tough battles? Maybe if there's only Cardiff that you look at there that's potentially an easier fixture.
Yeah, well, I think we're much stronger at home than we are away. So I would back us to win more points from the run of the games at home than away, even if the fixtures were easier away. But teams sort of like Sheffield Wednesday, we lost to them last season, but at home. But our form at home has been pretty solid. So as long as we can just sort of keep unbeaten, I reckon we could pick up a fair few points off that list.
Yeah. AI reckons, Jawad, that you're going to get 15 points from this one. That's picking up wins against Sheffield Wednesday, Derby, Cardiff, Bristol City, and then other points from other draws. Would you take 15 points now looking at that list?
Possibly. I think if the form continues and we don't fall back into some kind of rut, I don't think any of them will fancy coming to QPR, especially your Leeds and Sheffield United, because we do tend to raise our game against them. The Blackburn game obviously is going to be moved because of the FA Cup fixtures, and I would have thought the Sheffield United and Leeds games could be moved to Friday night fixtures maybe, which I think would boost us a little bit. But I think with the 5 home wins in a row, I don't think we're going to fear playing anyone at home now. I think they'll go into the game believing that they can cause anyone problems. And I think by the time we play your Sheffield United and Leeds, hopefully we've got a couple of players back like Dembele and Cook. So yeah, I think 15 points is probably a fair reflection, but I fancy us maybe to pick up a few more than that.
Okay. Rowan, where do you see your team finishing this season?
I think a successful season for us will be top half. And that's purely because of how bad we started. I know different fans have different expectations, but being realistic with, as we saw at the weekend, the squad depth, we haven't really got much. So if we pick up injuries, we haven't really got much to back that up. So I'd say hopefully we can get top half, and I'd say that's successful for us, especially with, like we said, the fixtures we've got. We don't look great away from home, and the ones we've got at home are pretty strong games. So, yeah.
Right. Brilliant. Thank you very much, all of you, for that. Finally, this week, then, we are, because it's January, it's a rubbish month, we're having a bit of fun, and we're picking out the worst 11 players that have played as part of the QPR side in the Championship and beyond last 20 years, starting with a goalkeeper, Michael, if that's okay. We need someone in sticks. So we're going to go flat 4-4-2. So we'll do strikers next week. Get thinking about that. But who's the worst goalkeeper you've ever seen play for your side?
I think in the last 20 years, one of our stronger positions has been the keeper. We have had leaders who have led us to promotions like Paddy Kenny and stuff, but I think for the worst, it's got to be Begovic. He was good, but he was on a massive wage. He believed sort of in his own hype, and he wasn't all that. But I also think Joe Lumley. I know some of our fans loved him, but I slated him every week with his poppadom wrists when they were going in left, right, and centre. I think it was Cardiff at home where we were winning 6-0, and then he conceded that goal. I was just like, even he's crap on a game when he should be full of confidence. So I'll probably go Joe Lumley, to be fair.
Okay. Jake?
I completely agree with Michael. Those were my 2 picks. But if I had to choose, I think in terms of like value and output, Begovic is by far the worst. Just because of I think he was on 35 odd grand a week, 30 at least. But for what we got from him, that is just terrible business, to be honest. And he kept us in a few games, but he also lost us some games as well. So he had a real mixed season, but in terms of value, I think it was a poor signing.
Okay.
He should never have been made captain either.
Yeah, exactly.
Rowan, can you add to this debate? To be fair, like what Michael said, it's not really a position that we've struggled that much with. But I'd say over the years, so 2 names, probably Matt Ingram was one of those that never was always about, but never really got a chance. Which always you ask questions at that. and Lumley. Like, you just never felt confident in him at all because you just knew he had an absolute stinker in him. So yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. And finally, Joad, sorry to leave you to last.
I was having a look at the list of keepers and was expecting to see a few worse names than what we've actually had. We've actually had some decent keepers over the last 20 years. But for me, it's Lumley. I don't think I ever felt confident when he came back with Borough and stuff. You always fancied that we could score. He made an absolute howler. I think it was for Borough against us at Loftus Road. And I've randomly got a signed Joe Lumley shirt in a frame that my class got me at the end of one academic year. It's completely random. Like, why would you pick him? So if anyone wants a signed Joe Lumley shirt, it's upstairs in the loft. But yeah, it has to be him.
Okay.
Straight on eBay.
In the comments below, if you can beat any of that, let us know. Otherwise, it looks like Lumley's going to be in goal for our rubbish QPR 11. We're looking for 2 strikers next week. The worst 2 strikers that you've ever seen play for QPR. They've never couldn't hit a cow's backside with you know what. Right, thank you very much, you 4, especially Jake and Rowan, for making your debuts. Really good to chat to both of you. Do follow them on Twitter if you don't already. We'll put their Twitter handles in the descriptions, of course, below. Drop us a comment who's the worst goalkeeper is. And you lot enjoy the game, of course, at the weekend at Plymouth. Safe travels to anyone heading down there. Hopefully you actually see some goals this time. See you in 7 days.